Now we're building the 2x4 stakes, and I just wanted to show how I'm building them. So started out, this is a 5-inch stake. So to do that, I just measured from the edge to 5 inches on each side. Then I made a center point mark, and I connected the 5-inch mark to the center point. Okay, and that just creates a triangle. So 5 inches, we thought about it more, and it's just going to be a little bit too much resistance. So we switched, and now this is a 6-inch stake. So this looks like the most ideal of strength and piercing ability. So that's what we're going to do. And so to make it easy, just make one stake that is shaped pretty well, set it on top of another one, just make some outline marks, and then you can do that with all 30 or however many stakes you need to make, and then just cut. All right, so what we're doing right now is doing a little assembly line and creating these posts here. So you can see it's identical. And we ended up deciding to go with a 20-inch wide piece, and the tomatoes will basically be about 18 inches apart once they're on the line. It's 18 inches from those nails to these nails. So that makes it make it really easy for us. Now all we have to do is just put these up together and just drill them in really quick. So it'll be nice and easy. I love doing an assembly line, getting everything ready to go, and then just pounding it together really quick. This is going to be the fastest way we can build it. And then, you know, we're focusing on each part at a time, so it even ends up, in my opinion, being a little better quality too. So going with 4 2.5-inch screws, and then these are just 3/4-inch nails, and these nails are just going to be little guides for the wire, so the wire can just set in there and be safe. All right, so here's where we're at right now. So all the posts in the ground, all the T's are on, they're ready to go. So now we just have to run the wire. So here's how the wire's gonna be run. I'm just waiting for my clamps to come in the mail. I got some clamps that are, you're able to remove them and unscrew them. So what we'll do is just tie this around here and clamp it. Go to the other side, clamp it really tight. Then this post will have a guide line that is anchored to the ground that will oppose the pulling force coming from that side. Yeah, pretty happy with it. This is gonna be pretty nice. Can't wait to see how it works. Some of the posts are higher or lower, and so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out over the course of the season. And then next season, you know, I'll get a lot of information that I'll be able to build this much better next year. So you know, I'll be able to figure out, you know, what's the right height to drive these in at. You know, so for me, I think it's somewhere around 6 to 6.5 feet of post above the ground, something like that. But we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out and works, and make adjustments for the next season. All right, got a couple fun things here for the tomato trellis that we need. And here they are. So these are jumbo size clips for tomatoes. I think they're like 0.9 inches in diameter, something like that. And so these just come and clip together. The wire for the trellis goes inside of here, and you clip them together like that. And you can just pull them apart very easily and reuse them. I've got 1,000 here. And then these are the tomahawks. The tomatoes will be on these, we'll grow up these strings. I just want to show you guys, I set my trellises up 3 different ways actually, because I wanted to see how each one would work and if one was better than the other, and which one, ideally what I want to find out is which one sags the least, which one has less pull on the post. And I'm sure some of you have a lot of experience. You're probably like, oh, that looks horrible. Oh, there's something wrong there. But I just want to I personally learn the best when I've gone through an experience and seen it in action, tried to correct the results, which I'm sure I will probably have to do at some point. I may have to adjust these trellises. I may have to pull this post back. I may have to attach another line to stretch it back. We'll see how the season goes. But what I am hopeful of is that by doing it these 3 ways, I'll have knowledge of how to rig lines and how the physics of all that work, because I've done it and seen what happens under the weight of all of these plants. So in depth here, let's take a look. So here's one of the ways I did it. I'll just explain my thinking. I saw some different ways people did it online. I also thought about it myself and just trying to do the best I can here. So here's how I thought about it. Basically, there's a line attached from one side of this T-post to the other one as tight as I could get them. Then I have these clamps on there. These are standard wire clamps. These ones are really nice. They're a little bit more expensive, but you can take them on and off. So these wires are reusable for the next season. You can also get these kinds that are just crimping style, where they get wrapped together like this, and you squeeze them together, and it crimps them, and they're stuck together forever, which means you can't get it off, and you'd have to cut it. So that might, if you want to reuse it the next season, that would not be the best way. So, anyways, these guys are probably most ideal. I'll have a link in the description for any special, for all of these parts actually, the line and everything. Unfortunately, I got some with vinyl. I do not recommend getting some that has vinyl. Now it is 3/16 of an inch in diameter, and this vinyl over time, the sun is gonna just bake it and it's gonna flake off. So I'm only gonna be able to use it one season unless there's a way for me to get this vinyl off. Maybe soaking it in some type of acid to get it off. But anyways, I screwed up when I was buying my line. I didn't realize what I had purchased, and then I needed to build the trellis. I didn't have time to wait, so I kind of screwed myself there. But anyways, yeah, I recommend just getting the 1/8 inch diameter aircraft line. So all the tension is held between these strings, right? So when all the weight's on this line, it's gonna pull this way, and to stop it from going this way, I've attached a line here going down into the ground and then around these lines here. Now, something I could have done that would have made this a lot better, for sure. So you can buy what's called a turnbuckle, and it's these 2 basically eye hooks that thread, and you can twist it. Basically what it allows you to do is put more tension or relieve tension in a line like this. And absolutely, that would be a better way to rig up these lines. But I wanted to see if I could do it as cheap as possible. Those things are a few dollars a piece. So when you're doing, this is a small system, but if I was to scale that up to a much larger system, then, it might be expensive, but, it also might be really worth it. So this is an experiment to see if you can do it real minimally and simply like this. Just a couple of screws to hold it, and then just simply tied into the ground. But a turnbuckle would be much better because I could get more tension into the line later on in the season. We'll see though, we'll see what happens and if I'm able to adjust it. By trying these things on a small scale, I'm able to see if they work without a lot of consequences, so that when I scale my farm up someday, that I'll have a lot of my techniques already dialed in. And that's kind of what this whole property is about, is just really dialing in my market garden techniques so that I can scale this up and not make mistakes when I'm on a bigger scale and there's a lot more at stake. So the other style, we ran a line from a piece of rebarb in the ground with the same wire clamps up to the top of the line, and then just directly across to the other side of the line. Okay, not wrapped at all, directly into the ground. Okay, so the thinking on this one is that once there's a lot of weight on these lines, since these are planted, pretty equally, the idea is that all the weight will be spread out pretty evenly and then will be put into these lines and down into the ground, so that, when this is pulling, basically most of the force is getting sent down to these lines instead of pulling this forward. There is some weight on top that is pulling this forward and down as well, but most of it, the idea is going to go to the ground. And then the rest of the weight is supported by these middle tees here and here. This line is just resting here, and this relieves weight, vertical weight from this line right here. So that's the thinking on that, on this setup. And then this is the same exact setup, but because I didn't want to cut my pathway off, I just put the lines directly over the top and down. This is the one I have the least faith in working long term once there's weight, because as you can see, there's already some tilt in it, and once these lines start bending, it will pull this forward. So what I may end up having to do is just put another line on here and rig it back down to the ground, just like I did on this one. But I'm hoping that's all that will be necessary. So this is, a real ridiculous situation because I'm in such a small space. So this is a test to see, how tight you can kind of make it. The plants are growing very well. They're healthy, and we'll see what happens. And I'll update you guys on how well this works going into the future and into the summer season.